What is going on, YouTube people? Neo here for the weekly market week in review, week that was, week that is, Sunday morning show. Today, hit on all three major sports, have a little chit chat, and get out of here. Full disclosure, recording this prior to Game 5 on Saturday night. I've thought about just staying up late and recording this late, but recording it before the game. So I do not know what happened in that game yet. Very curious to see how that plays out. You people obviously know what happened. I guess I'll put my fearless prediction out there and say I think the Suns bounce back, but we'll see. Selfishly, as someone that doesn't own any Suns cards and has a Giannis rookie, I'm rooting for the Bucks. But we'll get into his stuff here in a minute. He's the first player that we'll talk about. What else is going on? Atlanta and Dallas show going on simultaneously. Early word is, and once again, I am recording this late afternoon on Saturday, was Dallas was a little slow and Atlanta was busy. But I should say foot traffic busy. I don't know if things were moving. I am planning on talking to Dakota from Sports Cards Anonymous at some point and Sam from Women at the Hobby at some point that will have been at each show. Dakota's at Dallas, Sam is in Atlanta, and kind of get the scoop. So I am not going to be surprised if the news out of both these shows is that they were kind of down, especially Dallas. Dallas has been going on for a while now, and we are 2 weeks before the National. And the Dallas show overlapped with this new Atlanta show, and the new Atlanta show has been getting a lot of buzz. So Dallas being slow is not surprising, as most of the East Coast people that would have traveled to Dallas probably went to Atlanta, or everyone's just holding off for the National. So we'll see. We'll get the various reports. I feel like if you went into Dallas with cash and looking to buy, you probably could do quite well. We'll see. We'll see how Dakota does from Sports Cards Anonymous, what he was doing. Ryan from Breakout Cards is at both shows. He's an overachiever. He is going to both. So I will maybe try to have him on, or worst case, just talk to him on Instagram or something and see if I can get the vibe from him having been at both different places. There was the whole, I guess I got tons of questions about this yesterday. Saturday morning, did the Saturday morning live stream. So let's just hit this right off the top too. I got a ton of questions about the bench clear media. Basically, the end is nigh. The end times are here, and their general statement is that the National is going to be a liquidation event. Okay, and that video that they posted was in response to another video. And I linked to that video on the community post. It was from 1003 Card Hustle, who posted a video about how he kind of got himself into a little bit of trouble with buying cards on credit cards, and went into a little bit of credit card debt, realized what was happening before it got too deep. I highly encourage you to go check out that video. It is linked in my community tab. Caught himself before it got too deep, cashed in some crypto, and got it paid off. And the bench clear guys took that and went into their, don't do that, which I 100% agree. We've talked about that a ton on the channel. You should have card money and you should have real money, and card money should not come out of real money. Maybe a little bit at first because you got to get started. Everyone starts somewhere, but set money aside from your normal money and use that to go play in the card market. If it all goes poof tomorrow, it shouldn't phase you, other than, the missed opportunities of stuff you could have sold for, but it shouldn't affect whether or not you can put food on the table, make your house payment, make your car payment, pay your cell phone bill, whatever. Support your family. So 1003 put that video out. It was really good. And, the bench clear guys were basically took that, spun it, and essentially said, that the National is going to be a liquidation event and the end is essentially upon us, that we are nowhere near the bottom and everyone's going to be selling out at the National. Okay. The only whatever, we all have our hot takes that we drop on here, all us content creators. I felt like they were just a little too declarative. Like, let's be honest here. Like, and I say this all the time. We don't know. No one knows for sure. Could it be? Sure, maybe. There's a, there's a flow chart somewhere where that comes out. There's a Venn diagram somewhere, whatever. That the National is a liquidation event. But there's also, to me, the odds that the National is a liquidation event has the same chances of happening that the National is the spark to reinvigorate the market. Either one could happen. It could absolutely be one or the other. Could people go into the National and look to dump a bunch of stuff and be like, I'm out. Sweet. Got my pile of cash, maybe for a little bit less than what I could have sold for at peak. But I got off the Titanic. I grabbed the life vest, and the life vest was the National and all the idiots coming to buy stuff. Sure. That absolutely could happen. And then maybe that's it. It's the end times, and then all the collectors rejoice. The evil investors are gone. And everyone just goes back to the way that it was 10, 15 years ago. Absolutely could happen. Just as likely, to be quite honest, the National could kick things into gear. We enter a new phase that is not the Wild West like it has been for the last 18 months. And cards go up, cards go down. It's not the end times. It's not peak COVID times. It's some new thing that's slightly in the middle. And that's what ends up kind of spitting out of all this shenanigans that has been going on for the last year and a half in the card world. My guess is more that than the end times. If people really wanted to liquidate all their stuff, they could have just done it already. It's 2021. There are large regional shows almost every single weekend that all these different dealers rotate through. For non-dealers, just people that have cards, they could go to these same shows. They could sell stuff online. It's 2021. There's social media. You could sell online. It's very easy to move cards if you want to, especially if you price them correctly. Like if you're truly liquidating and you're just looking to dump, you could sell stuff. So what's my best guess on all this? It's kind of what I mentioned earlier. I think the hobby enters a new phase. It went into its cocoon, and now it's going to reemerge in its new final form. The hobby just being very collector focused up until the last year and a half, with people playing around making money, but it was definitely more of a collector's field in 2018, moving into 2019. 2019, pre-pandemic, the evil investors started lurking around. It started getting talked up more, all that stuff. Then, obviously early 2020 happened, and here we are today. So I think when all the dust settles, and I think the dust is starting to settle, when we get to the other side of the Nationals, we move into the fall. My prediction, what I think is going to happen is probably somewhere in the middle. We've had the reset. Prices are back to still a little bit above pre-pandemic. It kind of depends on the individual card. And I think we kind of enter the next phase where prices are still going to go up when players perform well. There's still going to be things hyped. Those prices will spike. Guess what? They'll come back down again. Like, look, Pete Alonso won the home run derby. His card prices went nuts for a week. Doesn't make any sense, but it still happened. You're still going to see stuff like that, but it's going to be more controlled than it was before. There are tons of new people that came into the hobby, and yes, tons of people probably left too, but there is more in it now than there probably has ever been at this moment. There's still a ton of excitement about it. Look at how many people attend these shows, go to trade nights, and are genuinely excited about being in here and doing this on a day-to-day basis. So I think it changes into its new form. It's not what it was pre-pandemic, and it's not what it was during the pandemic. It's probably halfway between those two things. And guess what? Everyone will be just A-okay. Sure, some people are going to make some money. Sure, some people are going to lose some money. That's the game. We all sat down at the table. That's the game we decided to play. Some of us are going to win. Some of us are going to lose. It's a big game of hot potato. I say it all the time. It's really what the sports card market is. Other than a few key players, you move into them, you move out of them. You hold the ones that you want to hold for PC purposes because of whatever reason. Make your money, lose your money, do whatever, but just be careful about what you're doing. Don't get in over your head. So that's kind of where I think things are going. I thought that they were just a little too declarative that the end times were here. Anyone can get on and say that. That's fine. And I get it. They have a lot of experience in the hobby, way more than me. But to say it like that, like you have the crystal ball, I don't know. That's the only part that I don't like. Is that, to be honest, none of us really know. We're just all guessing. So that is my thoughts on that matter. With all that being said, a very long introduction today. Let's go ahead and dive into the wonderful charts and graphs, everybody's favorite. Let's start off with Giannis. PSA 10 Hoops, Select, and Prism up on the screen. I went back 7 days on this one because that's kind of when the series turned around. His base Prism has stayed kind of flat. I did notice, now one of these is also not sold for a couple days. So I'll be curious to see what the next one that sells, what it does. I did notice today that his BGS 9.5 snuck up a little bit. A min gem went for almost $1,000 today, which that's a slight increase for that card. The only reason why I track that one so closely is because I have one. I have a min gem plus plus, kind of a weird one. So that definitely snuck up. I would expect the next PSA 10 Prism to sell to be higher than 1,500. And then his Select is up 30%. His Hoops is up 15%. We'll see what happens. This card is going to continue to jump around depending on the whims of an individual game. I have a feeling. Part of me thinks the Bucks have them figured out, and then another part of me thinks Phoenix adjusts, and being back on home court swings things. It just feels like whatever team has home court in a game has the upper edge. But we'll be curious to see where he goes from there. Regardless, this finals has kind of been, at least the last 3 games, the Giannis coming out party. They lost game 2, but he played fantastic. And he looked great in 3 and 4. So 2-time MVP. He's playing great in the finals. I said this yesterday on the live stream. I really think he needs to win this one because I don't know that he gets back anytime soon. The East is kind of loaded, assuming the Nets are healthy. So hopefully he could pull down at least one here. That would tide the people over because then he would have the ring to go with the 2 MVPs, kind of legitimize him a little bit more. And then, maybe it's a few years before he gets back there, moves to another team, whatever, later in his career. But for the next few years, I don't know that I see the Bucks coming out of the East again. With the Nets fully formed, the Hawks coming, the Sixers probably getting ready to shake the snow globe, and who knows what else is going to happen. There's always surprises in the NBA. Keldon Johnson, speaking of, I understand why he got the bump, but the fact that this is the reason that he got the bump is a little weird. Got announced that he's going to be on the Olympic team. This is his PSA 10 Silver Prism. A nice little 30% bump from 170 to 220. It's nice that they picked him. I think they were a little limited on options. I like Keldon Johnson. I'm kind of a fan of his. One, he made me a decent amount of money last year on Star Stock, flipping Keldon Johnson stuff left and right. And then I just really like this game. He was very hyped last year going into the season, and then he showed some flashes. Then he got hurt and kind of wasn't the same anymore. When he came back, he was getting more inconsistent playing time and stuff like that. So we'll see how he does with the Olympic team. I don't know that he'll get a ton of playing time, but it's good that they picked him. It's Popovich, so it's his own coach, so who knows. But I think he has a bigger role on that team next year. DeRozan's most likely gone. So there's a good chance that he carves out a much more consistent role on that team. And I still like him as a spec play, especially for the price points. Deandre Ayton slipping a little bit. This is his PSA 10 Silver Prism. Down 15%, down $50. Once again, this is probably recency bias. The Suns have lost the last 2 games. He has not played quite as well. One foul trouble game and then just kind of been meh since the first 2 games at home. But he's kind of the straw that stirs their drink. If he's in foul trouble or not playing great, they don't look like the same team. He's a rebound machine, a defensive machine. I've said it throughout the entire playoffs. He's one of the players that has impressed me most throughout this run. I wouldn't necessarily run out and buy his cards because of that. Big guys just don't typically sell. And I don't know what he looks like without Chris Paul on the team. I feel like Chris Paul is the key to his success. and we'll see what happens if CP3 leaves, which I don't think he will. But Ayton stuff sliding down. Let's check in on Mr. Acuna. I went back 2 weeks on this one just to kind of show a better picture here. This is his base chrome, his pink refractor, and his base refractor. Everything continues to trend down on him. I don't know that we've necessarily hit the bottom, but we'll know with the next probably week or so. His base chrome is down to about 160. His refractor is down to 380. His pink's down to 425. A pink hasn't sold for a couple days. The cheapest refractor I think I seen go was like 350, 360. The cheapest base chrome I think I saw go was like 130, 140. And the pinks are quite a bit lower pop. Those just don't pop up as often. I actually just recently, as in like 3 hours ago, picked up a PSA 9 Acuna refractor. I was not looking for it. Someone put it for sale in Discord at a relatively okay price, and I DM'd him and was like, hey, is that your best price on that? And he's like, I could go a little bit lower. And I said, never mind. I'm not really like looking to get into this card. And then like 30 seconds later, he's like, how about if I went to this price? I just want this thing gone. And it was quite a bit under comps. So I just went ahead and snagged it. I think I got it for 125 shipped, goods and services on a PSA 9 refractor. I feel pretty okay about that as a low level play. Like, that's something you can get into. I feel very low risk about that. And that if I just sit on that, it's not a lot of money to tie up for a year. Or maybe not even a year. Maybe next spring training he gets a little bit of buzz, and I think I'll be able to flip that for a profit, no problem. So we'll see what happens. But so I did pick up an Acuna refractor PSA 9. Eloy PSA 10 refractor. Once again, I went 14 days on this one because that's kind of when the buzzy buzz started on him. Up 25%, 140 to 175. I still don't know exactly when he's coming back yet. Is he back this weekend? I don't know. Last he was on the rehab assignment. I made mention of it in Friday's video that I picked up that purple Eloy numbered to 299 on Star Stock for $200. And I saw the same day I got that in the mail, one came in at auction at like 390 or 395, almost $400. So still not sure what I'm going to do with it. I've actually got quite a bit of interest in it. Shout out to Justin. One of my viewers wants to trade for it desperately. I'm not sure if I'm going to trade it or hang on to it or just sell it. I feel like it would be really nice to have that in the holster at the National, just being in Chicago. But maybe I'm overrating that fact because so many people come in from outside of town anyways. I don't know. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Ohtani stuff seems to have flattened. He hasn't hit a home run in a week, not counting the home run derby with the All-Star break going on. And his stuff seems to have slowed down a little bit. Not surprising. Last 7 days, 10% increase on the base chrome. It's sitting at 450 now. It was way higher if you go back a little bit further than 7 days, but the last week or so, it's kind of settled in around 450, 500. His refractor has kind of settled in between 900 and 950 with the occasional $1,000 sale. It did get up over 1,000 for a hot minute. Same with the pink refractor. It has kind of settled in between like 850 and 9. Once again, there was a few sales between 9 and 1,000. The one that took a big hit that I did not pull for this chart was his Bowman Chrome, his batting one. That card got a little too out of whack from everything else, and it's taken a pretty big hit this week. It was down quite a bit as well. I think this is people just exiting. They made their money, they're getting out. I mentioned a ton. I really don't know what to do with Ohtani. I think the perfect play here, which it's a little late now, this is the perfect situation where if you really believed in the player and you had a lot of him, you would sell off most of what you had and hold a few of the key things to the side. Make your money, make your profit on a bunch of stuff, and then hold like 1 or 2 cards that you really enjoy of the player. Set those aside and just ride it. Ride it into the ground or ride it to the moon, whatever way it goes. His stuff potentially has the possibility to keep going up. Absolutely. That's the much more riskier play. I would probably be looking to at least evaluate your Ohtani holdings and figure out which ones you want to hold and which ones you want to sell and lock the profit in on. We've talked about it a million times. I know. He's injury prone. But also what he's doing is absolutely insane. So I could see both sides of the coin here. The only Ohtani I have now are the three things that I just had sent home from Star Stock: the PSA 9 Refractor, the PSA 9 Pink, which I think I'm going to hold on to those two. And I have the Sepia PSA 10 that I'm actually actively looking to sell. So if you know one in the market, feel free to let me know. But I'm going to move that one and keep the two PSA 9s. It's low risk investment on the PSA 9s. I like the way the cards look. They display nice. That's all I really care about. I just wanted to have something of his just in case this turns into crazy town, which it really could. Let's skip over Alonso for a second and go to Vlad. Him and Vlad could have the showdown of the ages in the late season if they're both chasing, 60 plus home runs. Vlad hit 2 on Friday night. His card prices went up again, I noticed. I have the Sapphire that I had for sale. I still technically have it for sale. I've gotten a lot of interest in that. But it went up. I noticed today on Saturday, a PSA 10 cracked 2K for the first time. I think one sold for 2,300. After just the day before, they sold for about 1,800. Then he hit the 2 home runs, and they jumped up. He has a legit shot at Triple Crown. If anything at all happens to Ohtani where he has to miss a little bit of time, he has a good chance to pass him in home runs, and he's already first in average and first in RBIs. He is having a ridiculous season, and it is getting overshadowed by Ohtani. His stuff, go look at Vlad's prices compared to everybody else. I keep saying it, and people keep asking. They're like, how come you're buying high-end Vlad? That doesn't seem like you. And I said, because his stuff is too cheap. That's just my opinion. Go do your own research. Dig in. See what you think. But the guy is absolutely insane. I slept on him at the beginning of the season, and it was a massive mistake. But I'm trying to make up for it now with the Sapphire and the Blue. I would have to get a hell of an offer to move the Blue. The Sapphire is 100% still on the table, but the price has probably gone up on that based off the recent PSA 10 comps. And it's True Gem Plus. So absolutely adore Vlad. He is such a blast to watch. His base chrome has actually stayed flat. It's actually down a little bit, but his refractor up about 20%. The pink one has not sold in about 6 days. So no up-to-date comp on that one. I meant to ignore that one because only one sold this week. But you can see his regular refractor is on the way up. I did not pull the chart for it, but his no number base paper is also on the way up. But yeah, look at his stuff. Compare it to Tatis. Compare it to Soto. Compare it to Ohtani's the only one that's like drastically outperforming him. But compare it to those other guys in his neck of the woods and look at his numbers compared to theirs, and it's not even close. And, people were like, well, what about him getting fat? Like, he's not going to get fat in season. That's an off-season concern. Pete Alonso, we mentioned it earlier. PSA 10 refractor over the last 7 days, up 53%. Win a home run derby, your prices go crazy. I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think anyone really cares about Pete Alonso, and I'm not sure I don't want to say he's not good, but there's about a million other players I would rather put money into than Pete Alonso. If we're just strictly talking about this from an investment side of things, I'll hard pass. If you still have Pete Alonso, you should probably be selling Pete Alonso unless you're a Mets season ticket holder. And then last but not least on the baseball train, Mike Trout, PSA 10 Topps update. Continues to slowly swing back up again. This is back up to $3,500, a 15% jump this week after it dipped down to $3K. This card seems to keep yo-yoing a little bit. It goes down to $3K, then back up again. This was a 14-day chart on this one. So you can see here on 7-3, it was $3K. It went back up to $3,600. It went back down to $2,800, and it went back up to $3,500. So I don't know. Maybe it goes back down again to $3K. Who knows? But it keeps jumping. And he should be back anytime now. Let's end on football really quick. And a fun new market movers feature. If you stuck around this long, it's super fancy, especially nice for me, someone that needs to do research for videos. But I found it very handy for the purposes of this. So famously, I use the price movement tools a lot. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, link in the description down below to market movers if you want to check it out, and a 20% discount code off your first payment, whether that's a yearly or a monthly plan. You get 20% off using that code. But I use the price movements by card chart a lot. They recently added a rookie only feature. So you click this and it filters out all the 47th year LeBron James cards and just shows you LeBron's rookies. Where I really like this is when I'm looking at an entire sport. So for the purposes of this, I have price movement by player, which I don't use a ton on videos, but I think I'm going to start because of this change. This change makes this a much more interesting report. I could do price movement by player, and then I have it filtered by football, and then I have it filtered by PSA 10, and then I check mark rookie only, and it groups all the PSA 10s for all that player's cards, and then shows me the percentage change. So for football, I didn't run any individual player charts. We're just going to talk about the football market kind of as a whole. I can sort by number of sales, which I like to do to kind of see which players are moving. And it tells me Justin Herbert PSA 10 portfolio is up 3.55%. Kyler Murray's is down 0.7. Josh Allen's is up 1.1. And then I could click on this and it'll show me the individual cards as part of that portfolio. So some things are way up, some things are way down. It also depends on the number of sales. I think I have it filtered right now to 10. That's not 10 of individual sales of cards on the subset. It's 10 minimum for the player. So it gets a little wonky sometimes, but it gives you a general vibe. And what I noticed here, and I'm on 14 days right now, because I think that's better looking back over a 2-week time span to get the idea if the football market's starting to come alive versus just looking at week by week, just because you see larger increases or decreases. So when I scroll through here on a 14-day chart, I'm seeing a lot more green. There's only a few guys in red. Kyler, Mahomes, surprisingly. Jalen Hurts, just barely. Sam Darnold. Poor Dakota. Peyton Manning, Deshaun Watson, Emmitt Smith, Christian McCaffrey, and Derek Carr down slightly. And this is this list does keep going. I just have it set to 25 per page. So there could be some more. But you see a lot more green. It's not huge jumps, but you are seeing green. Let's see who's down the most. Rob Gronkowski is a player. Remember, these are not individual cards. This is all the players' PSA 10s. Chris Godwin up the most. His optic base took a big jump, and both his cards took a big jump. So apparently, Chris Godwin getting a lot of love with the Tom Brady connection. Winston going big. Josh Jacobs, Dion. Anyway, the purpose of this was just to kind of check in on the football market and see if it's starting to come alive, and it looks like it's slowly trending in the right direction. Once again, we will see what happens over the next couple of weeks. I'll be very curious to see what prices look like by the time the national rolls around on some of this stuff, especially the bigger names. Your Lamars, your Bakers, your Mahomes, Herbert, Allen, all those guys. Dak. And we'll see if the national kind of kicks off the football buying spree. I don't know if it does or not, but I think the national will be an interesting pivot point for the football market. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. So like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff down below. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for Marvel Monday. Going to do a market update, looking at some key CGC 9.8s, probably using GPA analysis. And then the rest of the week, I am leaving open because I'm going to try to have special guests on this week for some chit chats. I need to reach out to them, but I didn't want to do it while they were at the shows. So I'll probably message Dakota tomorrow. And message Sam tomorrow and try to line up slots for them to either come on together or separately. And then those videos will be dropping sometime this week and whatever else pops into my little old head. So we are in full national prep mode. I have things shipped in, battery backups, backpacks, the whole 9 yards. We are beginning to go in the full national prep. So we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.